Hello, and welcome to the show. You are listening to Positive Mindset for Entrepreneurs. I am your host, Dana Wilde. This is the show where you discover how to grow your business quickly by leveraging the power of mindset. Oh, yeah, we're into it. We are. I'm so glad you could join me today. If you are wanting to be a regular member in the Train Your Brain Sandbox, then hit that subscribe button. And you can also get my daily mantra at danawilde.com/mantra. I know you're going to love it. It's like a jolt of happy in your inbox. Today, we've got a really juicy topic. You are going to find out about how to live in a negative world. Oh man, we can identify, can't we? Yes, we can. We had somebody write in. I'm going to read. And by the way, if you want your question answered on the show, just look for the link in the description and fill out the form, and you will be addressed on the show anonymously. So nobody even knows you wrote in. So here was the question: how can I keep the outside world from interfering with my inside world? Thank you for that nice wording, by the way. That's the wording that we use here in this sandbox. We talk about our thoughts and our beliefs and our emotions and all of that kind of inside world being, all the, we'll call it our inside world, as opposed to the external stimuli that's out in the world. So I appreciate you using that terminology. You didn't go into a lot of specifics here. And so I'm not 100% sure if you're talking about just generally a negative world, or maybe you have a specific situation where you have a spouse or something who is not as positive as you would like, or maybe you have a life situation that's bringing you down. So I'm going to try to start kind of broader and then move in as we discuss this, because it's definitely something that affects all of us. I've heard many people say to me, I could easily be positive if it wasn't for other people. Yeah, right. If you agree, go, oh yeah, in the comments, because we do get in those situations, don't we? Where it's like, oh my gosh, I just want to be in my little happy bubble and go about my day and leave all these people out of my awareness. And I can understand, of course. So let's start with some basics that are really important, because at the heart of all of this, the number one starting point for this is, do you want to live your life as a brain trainer? Do you want to make mindset your number one priority and really commit to it? Really say, like, no matter what, this is my desire. My powerful desire is to make my emotional state number one. I know I may not be able to be bounce off the ceilings happy every single second, but I'm going to be aware and I'm going to make my emotional state number one. Because after you make that declaration, and I think most people who are, in this sandbox for any length of time, you know who you are. We do that, right? We know, like, okay, I get it. There is nothing more important than that I feel good. Why? Because when you feel good, everything else stems from that. When you're feeling down or negative or overwhelmed or frustrated, and we all have those feelings every day, even brain trainers have those feelings every day. But when you're in those states, we have to know that we're not using our best brains. We're using a brain where all the creative pathways are being constricted. We're not making good choices. We're not seeing the world through the ideal filter. We're seeing the world through a negative filter. So waking up to the idea that, yes, it is absolutely essential. My number one priority is to do whatever I can in any given moment to just feel as good as I can, to wake up, be aware, pay attention, know when I'm feeling that way. And I'm not kidding when I say everybody feels this way every day. Sometimes I've been having kind of a little joke with myself recently, where I've been so ultra aware throughout the day of the emotions that I'm having. I'm kind of just seeing, like, how much can I bring myself into my present moment? And oh my gosh, like, a day is an eternity of emotions. It's amazing how little things will get you off kilter. You shift, you see that thing that kind of makes you mad, or your partner does that thing that makes you go, why do they always do this? Right. And little things will get you off your game. But when you are committed to feeling good no matter what, feeling good no matter what, then you're a real brain trainer. I often am quoted as saying, anybody can look at puppies and babies and be happy, right? But it takes a real brain trainer to, under all of life circumstances, stay on track. And that's what you were requiring, were requiring of you in this particular question. You're asking, how can I keep the outside world from interfering with my inside world? Well, the answer is, first of all, decide and say, this is the single most important thing to me. After you do that, then you start to really assess your daily habits, and you start to pay closer attention to the way you think. You start to pay closer attention to the things that you do. There's some things just go by the wayside completely, like watching the news. It's so easy to have things on in the background that actually are entering our awareness and our stimuli and bringing us down. And then we wonder why we feel so bad. And so I'm not somebody who's got a hard, fast list of rules where if you come into my sandbox, I say, okay, you're here now. Nobody can watch the news. You're not supposed to do that. Or here's the other list of things you're not supposed to do. That is one example that most people will say, okay, yeah, that does not benefit or enhance my life. But the idea is to find out the things for you that are bringing you down. So if you play a video game for 20 or 30 minutes, do you feel good? If you play it for 3 hours, do you still feel good? If you go onto social media and hang out for 15, 20 minutes, does it feel good? If you stay there for 6 hours, does it still feel good? Pay attention and assess. You have all of the tools you need to determine which activities are bringing you up and which activities are bringing you down. And the tools you have, the major tool you have, is your emotions, your emotional guidance system, as Abraham Hicks likes to call it, which I love that terminology, right? When you know how you feel when you're doing certain things. So this isn't about a negative world bringing you down. This isn't about the outside world interfering with your inside world. This is about you being able to assess and gauge for yourself, is this serving me? Is this activity serving me? Is this feeding me? I like to use the term feeding for myself because it's kind of like, what am I being fed here? Am I being fed good stuff that lifts me up? Am I being fed stuff that really enhances my day and enhances my brain and lifts my heart and makes me feel good? And if it's not, it's gone. Like, I'm out. I do not want to stay in a situation or continue to consume things or continue to do things that bring me down. Now, sometimes we're in situations, and so this is why I say I'm going to go kind of more narrow, more narrow. Sometimes we're in situations where we can't change the situation. So perhaps we're in a job situation that we just can't leave right now. Or maybe we're with a partner that there's so many good things, but there's just these few things that make you crazy, right? And in those cases, if you can't change the situation, then change your thinking about the situation. And this is going to feel like a superpower when you get the hang of this. Because let me tell you, if you're not already doing this, this will change your whole world, what I'm about to tell you now. Remember how we've got reticular activating systems inside of our heads, right? These are the little matchmakers that live in our brains that sift through everything that we see, and it sifts through and notices whatever we're thinking about and whatever we're talking about. So let's use the partner, the negative spouse, as an example. If you've got a story going on that sounds like, my spouse is so negative, my spouse is so negative, my spouse is so negative, oh, they're so negative, oh, they're making me crazy, they're so negative, they're so negative, they're so negative. What do you think your reticular activating system is going to be on the lookout for, right? It's gonna be on the lookout for every time they do any little thing that's negative, and your brain, because it supports you 100%, is gonna go, "See? See, you're right. Look at they're being negative right now. Look at I told you, pay attention, pay attention. Here's the thing to pay attention to. You've been thinking about this. This is important to you. Wake up and notice right now they're being negative." Right? And so as brain trainers, we know that if we want to train our reticular activating systems, if we want to live in a world where we're getting better results, if we want to live in a world where we're noticing things that are better for our psyches, we have to talk about the world in a different way. We have to talk about the things in our lives that are making us crazy, or the things in our lives that we're noticing that are negative, and talk about it in a different way. So the partner is an easy one, because if you partnered with that person, then you probably know a lot of good things about that person too. And you can easily shift that story with just little gentle statements like, I used to think they were negative, but I'm noticing, remember that power word, but it negates everything that's before, but I'm noticing more and more that they've been feeling better lately. Or make a list of all the things that you love about them. And I one time had somebody come to me who had a husband who said, he's a robot, he's an emotional robot, and kept using that phrase, emotional robot. And I said, well, does he have any sports that he likes? And she came up with football or whatever it was at the time. And I said, is he a robot around sports? And she had this big light bulb go off, and she's like, well, as a matter of fact, no, he's very animated about sports and he's very active. And so we have to acknowledge that as human beings, we are multifaceted human beings. I can say about myself, I'm ridiculously ambitious, and I can also say I'm a complete couch potato. I can say I love people and I'm social, and I can also say I'm a hermit and a homebody. Those are all true things. And most of us would agree that we are multifaceted. We have so many different sides of ourselves. Sometimes I'm happy and friendly and kind. And you know what? Sometimes I'm cranky. That's a real thing. And so this is the ticket for getting the best out of everybody that's around us, is knowing they're multifaceted too. So if you have a partner who you've trained your reticular activating system to see their negativity, train it again and just start saying gentle things. You know what I love? I love their sense of humor. I love that they're always open to helping me and supporting me. I love that they're available and, kind to the kids and the pets. I love that they are gentle in spirit. I've known them for so long. I see these other things in them. I love that I can see the best in this person. It feels so good to see the best in this person. I like noticing and letting my brain notice all the cool things about them, because I married this person or I partnered with this person for a reason. So really train your brain to see the best in that person, your partner, or anybody, really anybody else that you're engaging with throughout your day. We're all out here banging around doing the best that we can. We really are. And even if I get a nasty gram in my inbox from somebody about something, I remember that that person didn't write that at their highest self. They aren't acting from their highest self. They're acting from a time when they were disconnected or not centered or angry or not in their best right minds. And so let's do our best to give each other a break as we go about our day. And then finally, it's can be challenging, and I'm guilty of it too, when somebody does something in your day-to-day life that really does make you feel negative. And I'll give you a great example. Not all of you will understand this, but for those of you that do, you will totally get this. When I first partnered with my man, we had one of those sink strainers where you put your dishes in, and they had the little center cup, or the side cup where you put your silverware in. And he would, take a big thing of mayonnaise and do a sandwich, and there'd be mayonnaise all over it, and he would stick it in that cup. And I was like, okay, that's gonna have to stop. Like, there is no way. If you feel the same way, then say, oh yeah, I feel you. Because I was like, there is no way I'm gonna continue to let all this goopy food go into this thing. I'm pretty anal retentive. And in my world, you would always rinse something off before sticking it in there. And so I had to make a decision at that time. Now, keep in mind, this is nearly 20 years ago when we got together. And I had to decide for myself, is that gonna be the thing that's gonna take away my happiness? Like, I'm having a good day, I'm bebopping around, I'm feeling good. Is that thing am I gonna let that little thing take away my happiness? Like, how valuable is my happiness to me? What would I trade my happiness for? What big life event has to happen that I would trade my happiness for? Well, it certainly isn't dirty silverware, I can tell you that. And when you start living your life like that, like, what am I willing to trade my happiness for? You know, if we have a discussion now where it's like somebody doesn't remember something or the other person remembered it a different way, and you can feel those words coming out, like, don't you remember you said you were going to do this and then you didn't do it? And, you can feel that feeling of like, I just want you to acknowledge that I'm right. You have to ask yourself, do I want to be right or do I want to be happy? What is most important in my life? What is most important? Do I want to be right? Do I want to be happy? What am I willing to give away my happiness for? And when you start equating it like that and you start thinking of it, you quit turning on the news and going, yeah, I just have to be informed about this and I'm willing to trade my happiness for this. You start to realize how not important so many things in life are. So how do you live in a negative world as a brain trainer, or specifically your question, how can you keep your outside world from interfering with your inside world? You do it by being aware and deciding that nothing is more important to you than being happy. And of course, you're still going to have times when you get knocked off center. I do too. Usually it's related to technology, but here's the deal. I just told that story about technology and I'm aware that I told that story about technology. So I know I've got the choice to change it or go with it or, just continue to let technology frustrate me and laugh about it. I mean, this is the fun part about training our brains is we start to realize that we actually do have real control over the way we exist. We have real control over the way we feel. And we realize pretty quickly that when you feel good, everything goes better. Anybody can look at babies and puppies and be happy, for sure. It's always easy to look at your outside world and go, oh, look at it. It's a video about baby otters. Who can't feel happy when you do that? But it takes a real brain trainer to be committed to it and say, you know what? I'm down with this. I'm going to really make happiness my number one priority. And I'm going to get good at being aware. And I'm noticing that I'm getting better and better at being aware. And I'm not so concerned when I'm off center anymore. When I get overwhelmed or I get frustrated, now I label it awareness and I go, oh, good for me. I'm getting really good at noticing my emotions. I'm getting better and better at having the tools that I need to turn them around. I'm getting better and better at seeing the best in the people around me and seeing the best in the world. I'm getting better and better at staying on my center. I'm noticing that my center is used to go way down emotionally and now I just bong back and forth a little bit and sometimes go way up. It feels so good to be a brain trainer. When you say these kinds of sentences to yourself, you get better results. I like that I'm getting good at this. It feels good that I'm getting good at this. I love being aware. I like knowing I don't have to be happy every single second of the day, but I'm getting better at it. I like that my highs are getting higher and my lows aren't so bad anymore. I like that I'm feeling my way through this. It's so fun to play with this. I love that my brain is here to support me. It feels so good to be able to know deep in my heart that my reticular activating system is on the job for me. It's so fun to know that it's so easy to shift. I love being able to shift my emotions and I love knowing that when I shift my emotions that I shift my results because make better decisions. I see more opportunities. Life gets easier and easier for me. It's so fun to be a brain trainer. And without a doubt, you have totally got this.